Hello, this is MusicTechHelpGuy, and welcome to episode 3 of my Pro Tools 11 tutorial series. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Quickpunch function. If you don't already understand the concept of punching in an audio recording, you may want to check out the previous video where I give an introduction to this topic. The difference between a standard punch-in and a quick punch is that a standard punch-in doesn't continuously record. For example, it doesn't record the pre-roll or the post-roll. It just records the selection that you've made. Again, you can check the previous video for an example of that. With quick punch, it actually does record the pre- and post-roll. Another advantage of quick punch is you can punch in recordings on the fly without having to have a set range for the punch-in. So you can just press a key and punch in wherever you like. So first, let me just play the session that we're working with today. It's just live drums and two sort of low-tuned heavy metal guitars. Alright, so the guitars are pretty much just layered up in unison, but you might have caught that there just wasn't something right about this section. One of the guitars is a little bit different than the other. Also, if I open my mixer with Command =, or Control =, on a Mac, you'll see that I've just panned the one guitar to the left and one guitar to the right. So let's just listen to the guitar on the right. And here's the guitar on the left. Let's listen for the differences between the two. So basically, the guitar on the left has the same rhythm as the right guitar, but it's lacking these extra notes that jump down and jump up. So with slip mode, I'm just going to make a selection for my punch-in, just like I did in the previous video. So that'll be our punch-in range. Next, we need to set the pre- and post-roll for the punch-in we're going to do. So I'm going to open up the transport window. Remember that the pre-roll is designated in the timeline by this little orange icon up here. So right now we have 2 bars of pre-roll. I'm going to set this to 4 bars of pre-roll. Now in the previous video, I said don't worry about the post-roll. For quick punch, you can turn on the post-roll, and you can let the recording sort of roll through after the punch range for as much time as you want. And again, keep in mind that the pre and post roll are actually recorded with quick punch. So you can play along and also access that recording via trimming if you need to later. So what I'll do is I'll add 4 bars of pre-roll and 3 bars of post-roll. And when I record this thing, I'm going to play throughout the entire section. Playing through the punch range rather than just the punch range itself really helps the recording to maintain the same flow and groove as the original, and helps hide the fact that this is even an edit. All right, so that's the, I was just practicing, that's the part that I'm going to play in. And last but not least, we need to turn Quick Punch on. So if you go to Options, Quick Punch, you can also press Shift-Command-P or Shift-Control-P on a PC. This will turn Quick Punch on. It'll actually engage the Quick Punch function. If you don't have this on, it's not going to record the pre-roll or the post-roll. It'll be just like what we did in the previous video. The other way you can turn this on, so if you go over to the record button over here, when you turn Quick Punch on, there's a little P in the arm for recording. And if you right click, you can choose to turn Quick Punch on. And you can also hold Control and click on this, and you can cycle through different record modes. Again, one of which happens to be Quick Punch. All right, so let's give this a shot. This is going to start 4 bars before the recording, but I'm actually going to play through the recording just to grab as much material as I can. So now all that's left is just to get in here on these edits and find a nice spot to join them together. So I'm going to turn off my pre-roll and post-roll, close the transport. I'm also going to turn off Quickpunch. You don't actually have to turn it off. You can actually leave it on if you want. I'm going to zoom in on these edit points and use slip mode and the trim tool to just find a nice spot to edit these. I'll use the selector tool and hit F to create a crossfade. I'll do the same for the out point. I'll use the trim tool to find a nice spot to edit. Yeah, let's go further over here. And actually, I'll tell you, let's go all the way to the end. There we go. And I'll just use the selector tool to create a fade at the end. So let's hear what this sounds like. All right, so that's just the most basic function of Quickpunch. In the next section, I'm going to show you the punch on the fly element of Quickpunch. All right, so let's talk about the the reason why Quickpunch is actually called Quickpunch. It's more of a punch on the fly function. So to demonstrate this off screen, I re-recorded a new idea. It's very similar to the previous one over the same drum pattern. So let's listen to this first. All right, so in that recording at measure 6, measure 10, measure 14, and also measure 18, there's this little eighth note run that's just sounds a little lazy. I wasn't able to keep up very well. With Quickpunch, we can re-record this entire recording, but just punch in those sections that didn't turn out well. The way you do this with Quickpunch is just press Command Spacebar or 3 on the number pad to punch in, and then press that same key again to punch out. When you do this, you don't even have to press the record button initially. You just start playback with spacebar and then punch in the sections you like. The downside is that this method requires 2 people. We have to have one person who's performing, the performer, the artist, guitar player in my case, whatever, and one person who's being the Pro Tools operator. I actually have someone here helping me out with this while I play guitar. So let's give this a shot. All right, that turned out pretty good, but some of the punches she was a little late on. It's okay, it's okay. It takes practice. Again, the great thing about Quickpunch is that everything is recorded, whether it was punched in or not, so it's pretty easy to go back and recover the material outside of the 4 punch ranges. So all this requires is a little bit of work with the trim tool and slip mode. So just bear with me for a bit while I go through this and trim up all the edit points. When I edit, I try not to edit directly on a noticeable high area in the waveform. I generally try to edit at a low area in the waveform, an area of low amplitude or volume, because this helps disguise the edit better when we go and add a fade. Like I showed you in the previous video, we can actually use the selector tool to select a range of joined clips and then just press F on the keyboard to create a short crossfade for all of the joined clips. Then what I'll do is I'll do a quick heads and tails edit at the beginning and end of the section. All right, let's listen to the final result. right, so this is one of the main features of Quickpunch, the ability to punch in on the fly wherever you like. This is extremely helpful for vocal recording because you can have the singer re-record the vocal take multiple times and just punch in the bad parts. I just didn't want to scare you all away with my singing, so I chose to do it with guitar instead. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.